I have had so many questions about my ex-husband Jake's new wife that I am spending my 10-minute coffee break. That's always like a hard break so that I can reset my brain. I'm going to spend this coffee break doing a quick little video on everything Chris. By the way, after 44 years in Mormonism, I still don't know anything about coffee. So here's what I drink every single day. It's just organic milk with the Trader Joe's dehydrated cold brew, some Mexican vanilla extract, and organic sugar, a couple cubes of ice. I think it's delicious. And by the way, I am Jenny Gage, and this is Life Take Two, where I share my escape from Mormon tradwife life and how I've rebuilt on the other side. Let's entitle this video, Always Talk to the Ex. I spent 24 years married to a monster of a man who abused me in ways that I can't even talk about on YouTube because the videos get taken down for violence and it's horrifying and not child appropriate in any way. And that was my life. That was 24 years of my adult life. He was a monster. He harmed me. He harmed our children. He harmed our pets. And he was just generally vile to everybody around us. Our 24-year marriage ended, and I started dating not too long after. I'll be honest, if I could go back and redo my life, I wouldn't have jumped into the dating world as quickly as I did. I wasn't healed and healthy enough to be around anybody. But also, on the other hand, because I had been the victim of such severe domestic violence, as well as growing up with abusers, I had zero self-esteem. I felt like everybody in the world just hated me. So dating was kind of good for me, but I still maybe shouldn't have done it. Let's put it like this. It was good for me. I don't know if it was great for the guys because I was very much traumatized because of all of the abuse that I went through. I had a trauma and abuse therapist that I worked with sometimes more than once a week. And as soon as I started dating, my therapist began to panic because he saw that the guys that I was attracted to were just different versions of Jake. I was used to love bombing. I was used to the whole narcissistic abuse cycle with the discard and the fawning. And I had been trauma bonded for 24 years. So I stepped back into those same patterns. And my therapist not only had to heal some of the abuse and trauma and PTSD, but he was also working in real time to try to prevent me from driving my life off another cliff with another monster. And I think as part of his attempt to prevent me from destroying my life, he came up with a hard, fast rule for me. And that was always talk to the last three exes. If they've been married for a long time, then just talk to the ex-wife. If they've been dating a little bit, talk to the last three people that they had serious relationships with. Seems like really awkward advice, but I took it to heart and I very much wanted to avoid Jake 2.0 when I got serious with somebody, not the first date, not the second date, but if I felt like we might spend a weekend together or go on vacation together or can get just a little bit more serious, then I would bring this up. I really don't want to continue seeing you unless I have the opportunity to talk to your ex-wife, the last couple of girls that you dated. And let me tell you, that right there, just asking that question, that is a big tell of what type of a person they are. Because a couple of guys were like, oh, hell no. She thinks I'm a crazy psychopath. I had one guy in some of my YouTube videos from a long time ago. I called him crazy private high school principal. And when we had been dating a little bit, I'd already met his kids. I said, I'd love to talk to your ex-wife so I can just get to know her a little bit and the other couple girls that he had dated before me. And he was like, oh, hell no. She thinks I'm a psychopath. She's going to tell you that I cheated on her. She's going to tell you that I was abusive. She's going to tell you all this stuff. And he never gave me her number. I ended it. He wasn't exactly my cup of tea anyway, but he went bonkers on me, stalked me for months. I think he still texts me once in a while. 6 years later, he was insane. Then there were the guys who were like, sure, you can come with me on Tuesday when I grab my daughter for soccer practice. You guys can say hi. I hope that if we continue dating, that you have a healthy co-parenting relationship. Should we be serious in the future? I had guys who were like, oh yeah, you can just find her on Instagram. I'll tell her that you're going to look for her. And I had guys who gave me all of the numbers. Sure, call, talk. Why? Go ahead. For the record, When I met Kevin and our relationship started to get a little bit more serious, I told him, I'm going to need to talk to the last couple girls you dated and your ex-wife. And he gave me all of the numbers. And he sat there on a chaise lounge for a little bit while I called the last girl he dated. And then he's like, hey, I'm going to give you guys some privacy. He disappeared. We became really good friends. And let me tell you what everybody told me about Kevin. His ex-wife did never want that marriage to end. She's probably still in love with him today. She told me he was amazing. He did all the housework and he was such a good dad. And the only thing that she's mad about is that he fell out of love with her. And she's especially mad about the fact that he moved on. And I'm in his life. So I implemented this whole weird, nerdy, can I talk to your ex policy in my dating life. It started to weird me out that we don't talk to the exes. Like, we have to normalize that. I don't order a toothbrush off of Amazon if I haven't read 50 reviews. You don't go to a restaurant until you open up Yelp or somebody tells you that's a good restaurant or you've been there before. There's almost nothing in our lives that we do without Googling, background checking. My kids' school teachers every single year, I still background check all of the teachers, make sure there's nothing weird. I get on OnlyFans to make sure that none of their teachers have pages under their names. Like, I dive deep into almost everything. I didn't move into this apartment until I checked the great schools ratings. Just in case we had to move my son into the district boundary, I wanted to make sure that we were moving into an excellent school. But we're totally fine dating people, moving in with them, and we haven't checked any of the reviews. In fact, if anybody wants to sponsor this, I've said for a long time that we need some type of a dating app that has reviews, sort of like Yelp. Like, I dated this guy, he stalked me, he's a wackadoodle. Nobody should date him. All of the nice people like me out there are thinking this is a fabulous idea. But all of those like dark personality disorders, the narcissists, the sociopaths, the psychopaths, they're like, oh, that's a terrible idea. Let's do it. Somebody from Shark Tank call me. Anyway, but back to Jake's wife. Right after our marriage ended, I knew that he had been dating 4 other girls towards the end of our marriage because one of them had found me on Facebook. And because I couldn't find where he went, I tracked him down so that I would have his address so I could submit it to the courts for our divorce hearings. And I found myself one day, just a couple days after my marriage ended, standing face to face with Christy and my husband right there, which was so mind boggling to see my husband standing there with another woman. He had been my husband just a couple days before. And I asked her a couple questions. I said, do you know that he's still married? Do you know that he's cheating on me with you and you with me? And do you know that he's an abuser? She screamed at me and said, I don't need a lying psychopath on my front porch. Grabbed her cell phone with one hand, started to dial 911 for trespassing, and grabbed the hose, which she used to soak me, which made me run off of her front porch. In the 6 years since my divorce, my ex-husband has made damn sure that I have never been alone with Christy. Christy knows nothing. And I gotta say, neither did I. I was married to a man for 24 years who had had a checkered past predatory behavior and a horrible life long before he met me. And do you know how many of those girlfriends I ever talked to? I'll let you guess. 0. In conclusion, talk to the ex. Yes, you may open up a bag of worms if you have an ex who is a little bit psycho, but I think that where there's smoke, there's fire. And the good ones, their exes are going to say good things about them. I'd love to hear what you